Merry meet everyone. Tonight my craft is going to be making a self-love marker. September has an initiative going on that is being kind of headed up, for lack of a better phrase, sorry, words are not coming to me easily tonight, by the Four Queens. I believe she started this initiative last year. I could be wrong on that. But basically September is being used by some as a month-long dedication to kind of look within and find our inner strength, our inner beauty, our inner goddess, and accept that and love that and let it come to the outer world. Originally, I wasn't really going to do too much for this. I was starting my YouTube channel and I thought that was such a huge piece in and of itself, because a lot of the reasons why I didn't start it earlier dealt with self-doubt. Those thoughts of who's going to watch this, do you really think you're going to have anything to say that's new or original? Why put something out there like that's so public like this? It's just another form to be rejected. All these thoughts kind of were on a cycle with me, and I never seemed to overcome them. It was only when other people kind of validated me and told me I could do this, I could do this. And so in doing so, in taking that step, I thought, well, that's a huge leap for me. That's a huge amount of self-love and acceptance. But then something much more personal happened, and I do feel like I should share this. As some of you may know, I've got a little girl. She's 2 years old and she is amazing. She's going to be 3 actually on Monday. And since the day she was born, her father and I both, our families, our friends, everyone's really worked to instill positivity within her. We always telling her how beautiful she is, how smart she is, how awesome she is, how funny, just clever, kind, everything we can think of, and everything that she is, we let her know that she is that. And lately, when you tell her these things, she's started saying, no, I'm not, and disagreeing with you. And at first I thought she was being, a 2-year-old. And I say the sky is blue and she says, no, it's green, that kind of theory. But more and more it's disturbing me and it's bugging me. And one of the last times she did it, Ray actually looked at me and said, well, gee, I wonder where she gets it from. And it all of a sudden hit me, I do it all the time. Someone will say I look cute that day and I make a joke. Someone will say such and such a thing is a really good idea and I disregard it. A family or a friend will give me a compliment and I figure out they have to say that because of such and such a reason. And I've always struggled with self-image and self-acceptance, because as a child in my family, it was very much about image and about looks, and it still is, and about fitting in, and I'm just not that chick. I'm not. And because of that, I developed a defense mechanism where I will use self-deprecating humor. It's that concept of, if I'm already laughing at myself when you start laughing, because it's never a question of if, it's always a when in my mind. When you start laughing at me, you're not really laughing at me, you're laughing with me, because I've already made the joke you were thinking of. And that's so destructive, and that's so not productive in any way. And I really don't want to set that example for my kid. And it kind of gets old living the life that way as well. So my idea of, okay, well, I'm just starting my YouTube channel and that'll be enough, quickly segued after seeing a couple of the Four Queens videos regarding Self-Love September. And I quickly decided, nope, I'm being called. I need to do this. This is something that is huge for me and I need to work on. And as unsteady as I am in these waters, I'm super excited to start. So one of the crafts that Kelly, actually, I believe her name is Kelly, I could be wrong, Kellyanne. One of the crafts that the Four Queens suggested was creating something, making a little totem or a mantra or something to kind of hold and carry with you to remind you of your dedication for the month. So I decided to make a little stone. It's a raw or rough piece of rose quartz, and I did purposefully choose a raw cut or a rough cut as opposed to a tumble stone or a polish, because I wanted it to represent how I perceive myself. I perceive myself as very rough around the edges, very much kind of just a chunk of stuff. But the thing about this rock is I think it's quite beautiful. It's got these different tones of pink within it, kind of a deeper pink and then the lighter, and you can see the lines of the edges within it, so you can kind of see, sorry about that, you can kind of see the inner workings, and I absolutely adored that. And then on it, I tried engraving, and I believe I did engrave with my Dremel tool this symbol, but because it is within the lines of the stone, it wasn't very visible, and I wanted the symbol to be visible, so I went over it with a Sharpie, because that's how I roll. And I did purposefully choose black because I wanted it to be binding. I wanted it to protect my intent within this. I didn't want anything to... I didn't want it to become a negative puller. I wanted it to maintain the love and happiness and self-confidence and healing. I really want this to be, above all things, a healing stone, because for me at least, I feel like a lot of the issues I have with self-love, a lot of the issues I have with self-acceptance comes from within, as I'm sure it does with everyone. I realize that's kind of a silly thing to say, but I think that those inner scars are what need to be healed in order for true acceptance to take place. So my intent with this is to bless it with some oil that I just made. Normally when I make oils, I have to wait at least a month before using it. I have gone against that idea a couple of times because I felt really called to use the oil, and tonight is one of those nights. So I'm going to anoint it with my self-love oil. And I do have a Fairy Oracle card kind of looking on. I believe that's called The Key. I had the book out, and of course, once I started crafting, I put it somewhere because I'm smart. And basically this card, for me at least, means getting to the other side, unlocking, it's all that potential. And you have to do the work. It's something where no one else can unlock that for you. You hold the key, therefore you are the one that controls whether or not you'll get to the other side of that. So whenever I'm facing an obstacle that I'm really struggling with, or that I'm worried about the success and that there will be a victory ultimately, this is the card that I kind of use to look over me while I craft. It's a beautiful card. You probably can't see it all that well, but it's like there's a bubble wall, like a filmy wall, and on the other side there's this beautiful forest with the flowers and the trees, and the fairy has the key to unlock it, and she doesn't have it quite in the lock. It's like she's not sure if she can do it. And I find that very inspirational, and I find that to be very much me right now. So a little bit more about the stone. The symbols I wanted to go over. It is a combination of an Ogham and a Nordic rune. As I've stated, my path is a blended path of Celtic and Northern tradition. So we have the rune for, and I of course have this written down in a notebook because I don't have rune names memorized quite yet. I'm working on it. Wanyo, which is the rune for joy. And then the Ogham I have is representative of the apple tree, which stands for beauty, love, and generosity. So I thought that those were definitely energies I wanted to keep within the stone, and thus the putting it on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly anoint this, and I do have a little spell of sorts, a little chant. I wrote down my dedication, my intents with Self-Love September, so I had an idea of what I wanted to happen. So what I'm going to do is say the spell or the dedication that I wrote in regards to that intent that I had written out, and anoint the stone. Goddess, heal me from within. Wash over my scars and let my work begin. God, energize me with the sun. Let me feel its rays warm, and let me know that my hurt is done. Good folk and elemental spirits aid me with wonder and love. As below, so above. Let these words work within and without, to allow my inner goddess of beauty to break out. As I will it, and by the power of three, it is my wish, so mote it and blessed be. And with that, I have my stone. And I'm going to let that sit for the night, and then I will have that to carry with me day in and day out during the Self-Love September, and hopefully after that as well, to serve as a reminder. My hope for this stone is that every time I begin to start talking ill of myself or having those thoughts, it will, feeling it and looking at it and just running my hands over it will remind me, okay, no, I need to approach this differently. And that is my first Self-Love September offering. I hope this was helpful, and as always, many blessings, and have a good night. Bye, guys.